for joining us on From Moment to Movement. I'm your host, Tamara Banks. The U.S. is at a critical point in its history. Millions of Americans are rallying, demonstrating, protesting, and yes, even rioting to make their voices heard, particularly Black Americans. Racism is steeped into the very core of this country. And now in 2020, Black voices are tired of being ignored, muffled, and killed. We're experiencing an important moment. African Americans need this moment to march, protest, cry, pray, to be heard, and evoke change. From Moment to Movement hopes to provide a platform for Black voices. A movement has to arise from the ashes of the moment. From Moment to Movement is a series of one-on-one interviews with members of our community aimed at giving a platform to hear their experiences and work towards changing our systems. Our guest today is Adrian Eatman. Adrian grew up in Colorado Springs and is a digital media manager at PBS 12. He currently lives in downtown Denver near the Capitol building and has been and seen the protests firsthand. Adrian, so great to see you. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate you.
Thanks for having me today, Tamara. I really appreciate it. And once again, thank you for giving me a chance a long, long time ago. Really appreciate
it. You're so awesome to say that all the time. And you're awesome. So as I mentioned, we are in this space where it's not the first time we have seen unarmed Black men and women killed at the hands of police officers across the country. And now we're at this tipping point, though, because we're not just having these protests, riots, and demonstrations in the cities where they occurred, be they Minneapolis or Atlanta or Louisville, Kentucky. They're happening all across the country and around the globe. I mean, this is truly a moment. Can you tell me how you feel during this moment? What's going on in your mind?
Well, I mean, it's definitely a little bit overwhelming. Like I've never, really been through anything like this before, but, at the same time, I think it could really be, a watershed moment for people where people can, really, really come together and, try to understand what other people are going through and, just take a look at everything as a whole and see like how much further we need to go. I mean, it's clearly obvious by, the uproar and everything that's happened thus far that, we really, really haven't come that far in, certain aspects. And racism is still around today. And, the thing that's kind of that I struggle with is like hardest for me is just the people that don't understand why Black Lives Matter, don't want to say it, or, Blue Lives Matter and All Lives Matter. But I mean, to be honest, it's honest that all lives matter, but it's disproportionate, like the amount of, Black and brown men and women have lost their lives, over the last couple of years. And the thing that, just kind of brings it to the forefront is like now we're seeing it, right? Because everybody has cameras, there's a cell phone, everything else like that. So I think about how many names we don't know about or will never know about because it wasn't out here and it wasn't, in the public view, because this has been going on for years. And, it's just a lot right now. I mean, like going outside, is a little bit much. Sometimes just, especially right now, depending on what side you're on. And the fact that, like I live down the Capitol building, you got people from both sides. So you don't know which way it's coming from. One night I had my windows open and I was just sitting here watching a movie and I saw the lights going back and forth and I really, really didn't understand what was going on because I'm like, I live on the 6th floor. What's this all about? I go out to my balcony and, people are just running down the street, throwing tear gas back up. And I'm like out there watching it in shock. And I got tear gas. I had to come inside and, wash my eyes out and relax. But I mean, for me, it was, growing up in Colorado Springs and coming up here when I was younger and always being around and enjoying the Capitol building, to see it surrounded by tear gas. And if you see it today and it's been tagged and there's stuff everywhere, it's real. But at the same time, people are angry, and they're only going to be sick and tired for so long before they start to do something about it. So, I mean, it's important that, people acknowledge this moment and see where they fit in and, how they can make things a little bit better.
Yeah. Absolutely. And to be in your own balcony and be tear gas, that must have been pretty stressful. Talk to me about what it's like to be walking in downtown Denver as a Black man, and some of the experiences you have felt, be they microaggressions or tougher aggressions, harder aggressions, full out in your face aggressions.
Oh yeah, it's definitely it's definitely pretty challenging sometimes. Like, you know, I hang out with my cousin a lot, and sometimes we'll go places, and we're just hanging out, or things like that. And we're gonna go wherever we want. I mean, we're two hardworking males. Doesn't matter if it's Cherry Creek, Capitol Building, somewhere, anywhere else. But this is sometimes we'll go in places, and you'll just see like the whole crowd just kind of look like, what are they doing here? And then sometimes it's happened to me when I was by myself. I just went and I wanted to get like an old fashioned or something like that. I just went to a bar, and the bartender he like comes over to me, and I'm like, okay, so what kind of whiskey do you have or whatever else like that. And he's like, yeah, the whiskey here is it's top shelf. So I'm not sure. It was like, grab that bottle of Glenlivet over there and set it down. I'm done. It's like you just like what Brandon mentioned before. It's like just the fact that you're automatically already assuming that I can't pay for something, or maybe I shouldn't be here, and it's happened a couple of times. And like let's see here, one of the like more microaggression times to me that like really kind of shocked me is I was at work, and I just got my car. Not that it's a big deal or nothing else like that. I mean, it's just a car, and it always will forever be a car. But I work really hard to get my car, and I used to drive trucks. But so I go out to my car. I'm walking out to my car, and this lady, she gets out of her car, and she just lets it slam up against my car like super hard, and was like, "Hey,
Oh, wow.
excuse me, would you just I'm just like, hey, excuse me, would you just be a little bit more careful when you're opening your car door and everything else like that?" And she just kind of looked back at me like, "Oh, well, it's no big deal," scoffed, and then walked away. And then like it took everything in my body to like, just tell her exactly how she needed to be told, and let her know what time it is. But the fact that she made an ass of herself, so I just assumed that she didn't know any better. So what I told her was like, look, if I come out here and your car's next to me, you're paying my whole vehicle. That's the end of the story. Like, I don't have no time for you. And then she was like, oh, kind of threatened. I was like, oh man, maybe I need to chill out, because I don't want her running in here saying Adrian's going crazy. But that's not the fact. She did not have respect for me or my property. It was just like, oh, I'm just gonna be out here doing whatever I want to do, and nobody's gonna say anything. Like, this ain't no big deal. And that's not what time it was, because I mean, you gotta show people a little bit of respect, and we're all in this together. Like, have respect.
I think some people would say, well, that's not I'm not racist just because I didn't think you could afford the top shelf, but that is racist, because really racism is about judging somebody by the color of their skin, by making an assumption that because they might come from a certain neighborhood, they may or may not be able to afford X, Y, and Z. You're shopping in a mall, in a high-end store, or an economic store, what have you, and somebody's following you around, making an assumption that you are going to steal something, or there and can't afford it. And so that is racism. I think people need to be very clear and understand that is the case, and it's hurtful.
Yeah, and you made a great point, Tamara. I mean, like, there's one thing that happens to me so frequently, well, not frequently, but more than it should, that I don't even, think about it. Like, there's been numerous times where I've gotten out of my car and somebody's asked me, is that your car? I'm like, no, I just stole it here in downtown Denver with my keys. And then they'll have the audacity to ask me, what's your profession? What job do you have? Like, who are you? I'm out here minding my business. Like, I don't ask you how you became so corny. I just let you go on about your day. So it's just, I don't understand it at all.
I'm laughing because it's not funny, but it's like what gives you the right, the privilege to even ask such a absurd question? It's none of your business. And so on that level, we can kind of roll our eyes about it and even chuckle. But then when you have somebody who has that mentality, and they're wearing a blue uniform, they're carrying a badge, and they're carrying a lethal weapon, those assumptions can end with deadly consequences. And that's what has happened, that we've witnessed over the past several years. And really, when we think about it, um, many call this a different form of lynching, that lynching has never stopped. The slave patrols in the 1700s and 1600s were that. They were law enforcement that went on and looked for unsanctioned gatherings of Black people, of slaves, and shut it down. And that mentality in many police departments hasn't changed. Would you say that that's true with your experience?
In like relationship with cops, I would say, yeah. I mean, one of my family members is actually in law enforcement, so I can understand like nobody's all bad and things like that. But hell, at the same time too, we'll be driving around in my car or whatever, and we're just doing our thing. And he's like, "Hey man, look, you got me with me. You got nothing to worry about." And it's sad, but at the same time too, that's true. Like 1000% true. If I see law enforcement I always make sure that I don't speed. I make sure my windows aren't too tinted, my plates. Like the last thing I want to do is have an interaction with the police or be pulled over or something like that. And then yeah, it's terrible. Like one of the other things that happened to me that it's really, really, really disappointing actually is happened to me in Boulder. Actually, I was with a couple of my good friends. We were probably like 24 at this point. It was Boulder, probably about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. We were right down on Pearl Street, kind of like, where Pearl Street goes directly through the mall. I don't even remember what it was like. I don't go to Boulder anymore because I've had such great experiences, let's just say that. And we're walking across the street. We're going from alley to alley while everybody else is going through the crosswalk. And if you've been to Boulder, you just walk across the street. You got to stop. I mean, that's what time it is. But so the three of us are walking across the street, just trying to cross. And, I see the police officer over there. I'm like, we ain't doing nothing wrong. We're just crossing the street. It's no big deal. So he gets out of his cop car. He comes over to all three of us. He's like, "What are you guys doing?" And we're like, "We don't know." We had no idea. We thought we might get something for lunch. We're just hanging out. And he's like, "All right, we need to see everybody's IDs." So this is the funniest part. We go to put our hands in our pockets to get our IDs. He's like, "Don't put your hands in your pockets." So then we go like this. He's like, "All right, now you guys are being smart asses, sit on the ground." And it's just like,
Wow.
What are you talking about? This blows my mind right now. So
right.
Like at this point, we're just normally sitting on the ground. He takes all three of our IDs. He goes over to his police car and he runs them. And then it's like, okay, so you're just hoping that some jaywalkers, we're going to have some outstanding warrants on them or whatever. So my ID and my other friend's ID goes through rather quickly, but my other friend, it doesn't. So at this point, he's like, "Hey, excuse me, sir, could you put your hands behind your back and sit on the curb?" And me and my other friend are just sitting there at this point like, what is even happening right now? Long story short, he ran all of our IDs and nothing happened. But in the bigger picture, it was a really diverse group. It was me, my other friend he's Filipino, and my good friend who was white. And then as soon as that was done, he told me, he was just like, "Wow, this is crazy. I had no idea it was even like that." I was like, "Yeah, man, you have at no time you never know." And I think that experience for him kind of opened it up for him. So like
your white friend.
Definitely. Another thing that happened for my white friend is like, because I went to CU for a little while, I would have this Nike backpack, right? I just be minding my own business, walking through campus. "Nice game, man. Good job. What's up?" And I'm like, first of all, how smart are you? What position do you think I play? I'm like 5'8", 150. So obviously, what, you think I'm a punter? Like, "Yeah, man, give you some notes, get us tickets." And it's just like, wow. You just all those black people up here to see you just play sports, huh? And then I think the thing for me is like, you can say a lot what you want about the Springs, but with it being diverse and you played sports, you don't have those type of interactions in the Springs. Like you don't have to tell anybody like you ain't supposed to say nigga when you're saying a rap song or something like that. They know that. People around you know that because they will get slapped or something will happen. Because as much as they talk about the Springs being conservative, you're down there and I have not ran into any of those people for the most part that were in my group that don't know what to say for any race or anything else like that, because we had to be tolerant. My high school was extremely diverse. So, I mean, you had to know your place. It didn't matter if it was, black or brown or anything. You just had to be ready or something was going to happen to you. Like, they were not playing. So,
Right.
I've never, like, none of the people that I've grown up with or anything else like that are my close friends or things like that has ever been an issue. You know what I mean? The only thing that has kind of been a little bit dicey, like in the springs when I was growing up, was like when I was playing baseball. But other than that, it was good to go from there.
That's interesting. That's interesting to hear you say that about Colorado Springs. As we wrap up, Adrian, what do you want America to hear from you? What do you have to say? America hasn't been listening. White America hasn't been listening since before the formation of this country. So what, 300 or 400 years? You have the platform now. What needs to be said? What needs to be heard?
Well, first and foremost, needs to be said is that Black lives do matter. And I think I hate it. For me, I hate it when people think that it's a bad thing, that we're saying that nobody else's lives matter or, blue light. Let's not be stupid. We know everybody's lives matter. But for a while now, it seems like the Black lives don't matter. And you need to take notice. And we're not playing around anymore. And to take a little bit further, if you can't understand why Black lives matter or why this is a big moment, then why don't you just remove race from everything and imagine, George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud, imagine if those were white people, okay? And we were on the other side of it. They'd be coming for us already. I mean, it'd be rough. And they wouldn't be asking about or, going against our protests. Like, let's look at the senseless killings of these people's lives and understand that that is a problem, and they happen to be Black. So let's take a stand, and come together and try to learn more from other people, realize we're not that much different, I mean, you got to be able to come together and, I think another part of it is have some empathy, Why don't you try to put yourself in other people's shoes or understand what they're going through? Because it's a lot.
Yeah, it is a lot.
You say, I'm 36 years old and my mother still worries about me when I get home. Like if I leave her house and come over here at night or something like that, she is still worried about my safety. And I'm 36, like at all times. And if that doesn't tell you like how bad it is or, what's going on, it's serious out here. And, there's definitely been times where, I've decided not to go places or, seeing police officers just like, yeah, I'm not really, don't have no interaction here. So, I mean, we all need to come together and just, take a look at it as a bigger picture and just understand that there are these senseless killings that have to stop. And, this treatment of Black people and brown people, like we got to take a look at ourselves. We got to do better. We have to.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And no mother should have to worry about her child not coming home simply because they might get stopped. I often say when people say, well, all lives matter, well, clearly they don't. Otherwise, the theme of Black Lives Matter would never need to be said.
Right.
But Adrian, thank you for sharing your feelings and your thoughts with us. And we really appreciate your time. It was good to see you again. You take good care and be safe out there, my friend.
All right. It was good seeing you as well. Thanks again. Thanks again for the chance.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Take good care. And thank you all for watching and tuning in and watching From Moment to Movement. You can find out more about this program on pbs12.org. I'm Tamara Banks. We'll see you next time.